Hi everyone. I know it's been a few days since I made my last video, but today I actually have something I kind of want to stick to a little bit. I'm hopefully going to be able to, but there's no guarantee. In particular, about just myself and growing up autistic. So, I found out as an adult that I was on the spectrum. And to be perfectly honest, when I found out, I was like, oh, okay, that explains a lot of things. And then the other half of me was, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this? Simply because by that time I was working. I had had a few jobs. I'd been to college, dropped out, gone through all the school. And honestly, had I known a lot earlier, I felt like that would have helped me a lot better. I would not have had to deal with so much adult bullying. Bullying from teachers, from just folks above me in different facets because it happened. People deliberately said that I was slow, that I was what's considered now a slur. Um, and been called those things by, whether it's been people in the community that I live in, the church I went to, um, friends I've had, and even partners that I've been with. Sometimes even my own parents. They treated me like something was wrong with me. And so by the time I found out, officially through, psychiatrists that I'm on the spectrum and um, I have chronic low level depression, it was like, oh, that explains so much that I wish I could have figured out years ago, and it would have maybe have made growing up a little bit easier, possibly. Um, and to put it plainly, I wasn't terrible. I didn't really have tantrums and stuff because I knew basically it was going to be worse if I got home if I acted out when I was outside. So I kept a lot of things in. I learned really early that I have to act a certain way around certain people for things to go smoothly. Simply put, dysfunctional family, chaotic childhood, and it's just been a lot of chaos. So what I learned a lot and still am, as obviously things change, um, new information comes out, names change, so on and so forth. It happens with medical things, whether it's mental health, physical health, whatever. Um, and to put it plainly, because of some of the things I'm understanding about myself and learning and realizing, oh, I do that. So that's what that is. That's why I do that. And realizing it's under these terms of hyper independence, jaded, uh, even, oh God, I lost the other one. People pleasing, walking on eggshells, um, having to be very guarded just to keep myself safe. Emotionally, I realized that it's all from just how I was brought up and the way that I've been treated my whole life. And a couple of things that I ran into the other day that just helped me have a conversation I had last night and what I've been going through this healing journey that I talk about, as much as I don't like those words put together. Um, Not because it's anything wrong with it, it's just I hear it too much. Um, I'm going through this transition that is making me unlearn a lot of those things, and my nervous system and my brain are trying to rebel against it. Mm. For instance, yesterday I had a really bad day. Really bad day. Um, Things have just been piling up in the way that I put it to my friend that actually called and checked on me was stuff is piling up. And even though I understand that sometimes delays are just for your betterment, and that delays and rejections aren't always terrible things. They are just pushing you in a direction that's better for you. Try to keep that kind of positivity going, because I naturally have, unfortunately, negative thoughts that always come up. It's like, well, this shit didn't work out, now what? And unfortunately, that's just how I had to deal with disappointment, because having any kind of emotional reaction to it and not being able to properly express how I feel always got me in trouble, cussed out, or fussed at because I'm being an asshole according to them. And just trying to understand how my emotions have been altered, and just trying to remember what it means to be vulnerable, because like I said, being vulnerable, at least in my structure of life, is dangerous. You cannot be vulnerable around people, because they take advantage of you, they talk about you, and you hear it, or they just say it to your face because they think that it's okay. They think it's okay to call you names, to basically just say, "Oh, she's just slow. Don't take anything, at face value." Or they get angry because you're not like the other kids. Why can't you be like the other kids? Because I'm not. And what made it even worse sometimes was, at least in my case, expressing my interest in anything meant it was going to get spread everywhere. And I couldn't just be interested in certain things without being exposed. So I guess one way growing up, I was considered a tomboy. I was. Sometimes I still consider myself that, because despite me, taking the time today to just make myself feel good and look nice, I didn't really care about that shit growing up. I really didn't. But internally, a lot of times it was like, I'm a girl, I know I'm a girl, and I would like to be treated like one, but at the same time, I didn't want to be looked at as an object of desire, or, I look nice today, and then it's an anticipation that I have to do that every day. It's like, I don't feel like doing this every day. I don't feel like putting effort into stuff every day, because a lot of times I'm tired. And especially growing up, it was tiring, because the main thing that a lot of people know, or one of the more popular things, is that autistic folks, especially females, women, or femmes, we mask really early. We learn how to mask very early so that we can at least fit in somewhere, somehow. Admittedly, I had to do that a lot. I had to do it about as early as 2nd or 3rd grade, because it was the only way I was going to have any kind of friends. I got picked on a lot. I got treated differently a lot. And a lot of times I just didn't like other people. They got on my nerves. They were loud. They were obnoxious. And I was the kid that I wanted to be in the library all day. I wanted to read books. I wanted to learn things that were interesting to me. And for instance, one of my major problems growing up was math. And it was because nobody ever took the time to sit me down and explain it to me so that it made sense to me. Like, this is this because of this. And granted, I give my mom credit for actually trying to help me. She did. She taught me how to count money. She taught me how to read an analog clock. But she would also get pissed because I wouldn't catch it fast enough. And it's like, I'm trying to figure it out. give me some time. Because even though it took me a little bit longer to understand how to read an analog clock, I taught myself how to read military time. So I figured out military time before I really knew how to read an analog clock. That I can actually look at it and be like, I know exactly what time it is without having to count. I can just look at it and be like, it is exactly like 3:38 p.m. Something around that. And I would often hear, how the hell do you know how to do this, but you can't do this? I don't know what the fuck to tell you. I don't know. It just made more sense to me. And so that kind of stuff was like, I have to at least pretend like I know what I'm doing, what I'm saying makes sense, or I understand what's happening, even though in the back of my head, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, or I don't care because it's not interesting to me. And trying to just be a child with interests was almost forbidden. I couldn't be into certain things without it coming with a negative. I couldn't be into art without it being like, you're never going to make any money doing that. You suck. Or you need to be an engineer because you're really smart. Well, I'm not interested in engineering. I might be interested in, how to put something together, but engineering, what the fuck am I going to do with that if I'm not interested in it? And also I was a practical type of person. I still am. If I can basically make it make sense to me that this is useful, then I'm going to continue, And it was kind of the same thing with math. Once I understood it, I could ace anything once I have an understanding. And the thing was, I just need to have an understanding that makes it make sense to me. For instance, like I said, I struggled in school. So one of the things I struggled with was English. And a lot of times I always heard, how the fuck are you doing bad in English when you speak English? When it wasn't just speaking English, it was remembering how things are spelled, knowing what a pronoun, a noun is, a verb, that kind of shit. A subjective noun, an objective noun, trying to understand all that shit very quickly. And I'm like, give me a minute. Things like verbs were very easy because they were like, verbs are action. So you kick something. Kicking is a verb. Oh, okay. That makes a hell of a lot of sense. But then it's like, well, this is an objective noun and you can't put that here because that doesn't do something. And I'm like, you just spoke Mandarin to me. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. And also, English was just boring for me. Every English class I had to learn something about Shakespeare. I don't give a fuck about Shakespeare that much because what the fuck does it have to do with me? That's not to say I didn't find the plays entertaining. Doesn't mean I didn't read them. It was just, better yet, every single time we learned about Shakespeare, it was always Romeo and Juliet. I get Romeo and Juliet. I don't give a fuck about it. I don't want to watch modern renditions of it and have to write about it. It's boring. It's stupid. I don't want to hear about it. So I would fail, or I would get bad grades for it. But then say, by the time I hit 12th grade, I'm learning about Othello and the Shrew, things that were just interesting. I'm like, ooh, I'm learning new stuff, new words. Even if it is Shakespeare, I'm still learning something different than Romeo and Juliet. Fuck that shit. I hate that story. But, the other part of it is, I guess it's just that I was raised kind of like a robot. So a lot of the things that I'm having to unlearn throughout this journey of unlearning a lot of things that I was taught about myself, about the world, and how I am perceived in the world is jarring. It's hard because I got told what a lot of millennials are told, and zennials too. Go to work, go to school, and you will have a great life. Well, obviously, with the way the world is right now, that's a fucking lie. But I did that. I did this stuff that I was told to do, I was supposed to do, and here I am now with multiple problems that stop me from doing certain jobs, chronic illnesses, and just wondering, is there a point in waking up every day? And what makes it so hard, especially at this point, is with the way that I explained it to my friend, was I feel like I'm at rock bottom again, and except this time I'm pushed in a corner and it's uncomfortable. And it's more uncomfortable than normal because, at least in my case, being vulnerable, like I said, was dangerous. You cannot be vulnerable around certain people because they're going to basically eat you alive. And the only thing that I really needed yesterday was I just needed some reassurance that, shit's still okay. I'm not about to be abandoned. I'm not, this horrid piece of shit person that everybody hates. And to anybody that would ask, why do you think that? It's like, that's the kind of stuff that was said to me. And I, unfortunately, have held on to it. People saying they hate me or they don't like me because of this, that, and the other, or I'm a selfish piece of shit because of whatever, or I'm stupid because I don't understand something. That's hard to unlearn because that becomes the main voice in my head for when shit doesn't go right. You're not qualified for this because you're fucking stupid. Well, shit. And even though that's going on in my head a lot, or stuff like, you don't need to be so emotional, you need to just keep going, you can't be emotional, you're not allowed to be, because if you are, then that stops you from being productive. Well, obviously, again, with the way the world is and the place I live, that's eating me alive. I can't take care of myself the way that I normally would. There are no jobs that are actually going to be able to help me keep my life going at a very base level while I can still do other stuff. I can't do it. Most places are like, here's $12 an hour to be a manager of a store. I don't think so. Or, trying to go through the government assistance stuff and it's all being stripped away. I can't get any help. So I have to start asking people for help. And it's, it is the hardest thing I've ever had to do, because to go from essentially having to have my guard up all the time around, whether it's my mom, my dad, my family, people that I thought were friends, so they don't take advantage of me, because sometimes I can't tell who is and who isn't going to being essentially the sole caretaker and the sole breadwinner with my mom, to just taking care of myself. That is a whole lot of shit to unlearn, because taking care of myself has always just been, you just need to have a good job so you can keep a roof over your head and food in your stomach. Okay, well, what about the other stuff? What do you mean other stuff? How am I supposed to take care of my mental health? How am I supposed to take care of my physical health? How am I supposed to, do the things that has always been pushed out as, you're a woman, you need to do these certain things. Okay, well, how am I supposed to do all that stuff if, I don't meet certain standards that some people put out? I don't know, you're just kind of fucking screwed then. Well, alright then. I will figure it out. So that's what I've done. Just figure it out. And now I'm at a point where just figuring it out and essentially, what's that word? Being in my masculine for as long as I have trying to allow some of the more feminine parts of me out is a battle. I'm fighting myself to just be myself. I'm fighting old protocols that are still running because I haven't had time to do the maintenance updates that I need. And literally, I've just felt like a robot the majority of my life. Because if I'm not perfect, then I don't deserve anything. If I'm not like this person, then I don't deserve anything. You know, it's been a challenge of realizing that I am worthy of things, even if other people say I'm not. And making myself believe that I'm worthy of love, I'm worthy of appreciation, I'm worthy of a family that actually likes me and loves me, I'm worthy of friends and colleagues and people that actually like me as a person. And that has been the hardest part of being me at this stage, you know, learning these things about myself, relearning these things about myself, and just trying to take out the old garbage is difficult because, hands down, I don't like change most of the time. Like, at my core, I really don't like change, but it's it's inevitable that it's going to happen, and there's nothing I can do about it. So I just have to grin and bear it, or just swallow it and shut up, you know. Or that's what I used to have to do anyhow. Whereas nowadays, it's like, things are unsustainable. I can't do this. What do you want me to do? Just hold out for as long as you can. All right, but if I keep holding out the way that I have, some shit's gonna leak out. You know, I can't keep things under wraps like I used to. I cannot keep it together like I used to. Things are just bursting at the seams. It's too hard now to just be quiet. And I've done that my entire life, just not tell the truth about things. Like, the reason I really don't fuck with a lot of people in my city is because I don't like them. You know, or I don't know them. But also, living in a small town, you say your name to say, small town, small city, you can't turn a corner without somebody knowing somebody from your family, or you just say your last name and then they're like, oh, I know who you are. Damn it. They know the family. They don't know me. They know people with that same last name and they act certain ways, and it is I don't act like that person, or I don't know what they do. You don't ask me about it, you know. And having certain things just slapped on you because of who you used to associate with, or you just unfortunately share a name. So that kind of stuff happens, and then when they get to know you, they're like, oh, wow, so-and-so said you were, best case, well, one thing that actually was said about me, oh, this person said you were trying to ruin their relationship and get in the middle of it. No, I don't do that. I keep to myself for the most part. But that's the kind of thing, you know, that kind of stuff that I deal with. And then basically having to unlearn being a robot and learning to be a person that has hopes, dreams, aspirations, that wants to love, that wants connections. And people look at you like you're crazy because you want simple things, nothing too big and grandiose. It's like, I don't want to be rich. I want to be comfortable. You know, I want to be able to be the auntie to a lot of the kids that I know. You know, I would rather do that. I don't want to be famous or anything necessarily, but I still want to be able to have enough money to do the things that I enjoy without having to worry about, can I keep my lights on? Or is something about to get turned off? Because I've dealt with that my entire life. Things getting cut off, things being taken away because it's out of my control. I was a kid, I can't do anything about that. And then learning the truth about why things were that way, it's like, oh wow. And the people that do that kind of stuff, or did that kind of stuff, have the nerve to say heinous and disgusting things about me as a person. Like, I've never tried to kill a person before for their property. I've never been arrested for DV or drinking and driving and getting caught. Even though I may not be doing as great as some other people that I know, I'd much rather be seen as a decent human being than you being a doctor and nobody ever wanting to see you because you have terrible bedside manners. You don't know how to treat people. You're mean. You're, look down at people through your nose, that kind of stuff. I can't be that type of person. I'm not that type of person. Now, hands down, survival mode makes us do a lot of fucky-wucky things. I'm learning that from my mentor. And I have had to do some things that normally would be out of character for me, but also, I'm also not the same person I was 10 years ago. I'm not going to let you run all over me and lie to my face and then you expect me to be welcoming to you. I've actually had somebody that I was helping out at one point straight up say to me, I do what I do because you get on my fucking nerves. Well, damn. And just kind of having to come to terms with that stuff because it catches you off guard. And it's like, well, shit. If you feel that way about me, why should I even consider you part of my inner circle? Why should I consider you my friend? Why should I consider you as anything other than an op? You are the opposition to my happiness, to things that make me feel fulfilled. Why should you be allowed to eat from my table? And that's the kind of stuff that I've been having to come to terms with. It's very difficult. Some people are like, it should be easy to, just think about yourself. It's like, no, it's not. If it was easier for me to think about myself, you honestly think I'd still be in this spot that I'm in? If I was a hell of a lot more selfish, my ass would probably have been living on the West Coast years ago. Right after I graduated. Nobody would know where I was. They couldn't get to me and I'd be fine with that. That's how, jaded and done I have been since I was at least 17 years old. I've been jaded for a long time, and I do try to not necessarily keep up the facade, but put out that positive energy to people that I care about and let them know, like, hey, you're doing a good job. It might seem small, but you really are doing great. And don't let anybody make you feel like just the small stuff isn't a big step for you. And I'm like that with people because I've never had anybody boosting me up even at my worst times. They're just like, well, why the fuck do you feel like that? You don't need to be feeling like that because you got A, B, C, and D. And it's like, I guess you could say it's almost like imposter syndrome. What have I done to deserve all this good shit? And I actually knew somebody that was like that, but they were a terrible person underneath it. They struggled with that imposter syndrome because they were a piece of shit. Whereas in my case, I deal with it because it's like, I feel like I'm a good person, decent to people. I try to, do good, put out a lot of good, and yet I still get garbage in return. So there's a point where I've even been like, what's the point of me being a good person if all I'm going to do is get dirt thrown on me, get shoved down into the ditch and basically pissed on. Why should I still be a good person? But the thing is, even with that thought being there at times, it hasn't necessarily changed my heart. All the terrible things that people have done to me, said to me, and whatnot, it hasn't changed my heart, but it has definitely made me put up walls, barriers, boundaries that honestly have kept me from being happy. Had I had the funds and actually knew what I was going to do after my mom passed away, I would have left. Had I had an actual plan, because she died unexpectedly. So losing, my only anchor in life, the only thing that kind of helped the equilibrium that I had came crashing down. I didn't know what to do. Her dying was the start of a lot of things. The start of self-discovery, essentially. But I also had to sit with that grief. And with some of the stuff I learned yesterday, like, one of the probably most hard things to accept is that I have object permanence, but with people and things, and for anybody that doesn't know what that means, out of sight, out of mind. Once my mom was gone for a max of 2 years, the main thing that I was terrified of was forgetting what she looked like, which is why I have pictures of her up, and forgetting what she sounded like. People say I sound just like her, but I don't hear her voice when I talk all the time. I hear it in instances, but it's why I still have a video. She's not in it physically, but her voice is. And it took me about 3.5 years before I could listen to that and not cry out of pure sorrow. And she was happy. She was being herself, and that's what I miss. I miss that part of my mom. I miss her. I miss the infectious joy she found in a lot of different things, part of what made me who I am right now. And that's the other part too, also coming to realization that my mom was just like me, an autistic woman who didn't know what to do. Because like I said, as I've taken time to understand how autism not only affects me as a person, but how it affects Black women, and even just the basics of it, of, a lot of people that are autistic are more aligned with, LGBTQ stuff. They easily fall into addictions. That sort of thing, and just sort of the darker side of it that nobody likes to talk about up front. It helped me understand myself better and make me more self-aware, which honestly, being as self-aware as I am is just a result of having to walk on eggshells, people-pleasing, hyper-independence, and realizing I have to act a certain way so that bad things don't happen. Bad things still happen, but and I'm sure I feel like a burden to people. I feel like I should be a lot more put together, because that's how I walk out into the world whenever I go out into it. But in reality, it's not that way. Understanding how anxious I am and the reasons why. And why I over-explain myself, why I apologize all the time. I say sorry a lot to things, even though, I could not have done anything wrong. And I always have to say sorry, especially in very close proximity, because it's like I start apologizing for being myself. It's like I'm about to do something that I think you're not gonna like, so I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And it's this pleading sorry, like I'm so sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. You haven't done anything. Why are you sorry? I don't know. I can know I haven't done anything, and there's still me. There's a part of me that's like, oh God, I'm terrified of this. And I want to run away. I want to run from the uncomfortable feeling, but feelings don't leave when you run from them. They're not physical manifestations that are chasing you. It's just stuff inside that's trying to come out and never being comfortable enough to express it. And I'm getting better at it. I'm getting better at communicating how I feel, not having to process exactly everything I'm saying. Like I'm still processing it, which is why you can see me pause or I look to the side, because I'm like trying to remember the line of the sentence that I'm trying to get out. And that's just a case of my brain moving faster than my mouth can move. As well as just trying to make sure I am confident and very forward with what I'm saying, because generally nobody listens any other time. Like people don't listen until I get mad or I start feeling like I'm about to lose my fucking mind. So that's that's part of what yesterday was. Just a lot of that. And learning to be myself and be comfortable in not just the body that I'm in, but the space I'm in. It's hard, but anywho, that's all I had for this video. But trust me, if I find out some more stuff that I feel like I need to talk about, I will. Bye guys.